Hi, ShineSparklers. Are you finding this ABC series useful? I have been going live for the last 2.5 weeks reviewing the ABCs of marketing. I'm sure I could do this a couple of times because there's a ton of words in marketing, and I could probably go through the alphabet more than once, and I have to sort of select the right word that I think that everybody might want to learn more about. But anyhow, I am hoping that you have found lots of value in here because that's why I'm doing it. So we are in the second to last video today. How exciting. We've gone through so many different topics up until today. And we are going through W and X. And when I started this series, I was wondering if I would find a word for every letter of the alphabet because some letters are tougher than others. And I have found that not to be too difficult at all. Today, the letter W is going to stand for word of mouth marketing, and X is the X factor. Okay, before we get started, I am going to bring your attention to my free PDF guide. It's called The 5 Missteps That Photographers Make That Attract Price Shoppers and That Drain Your Profits, Your Passion, and Your Joy. And the link is in the description below the video. Please go get that. If you've been struggling, it might help you get over a couple of hurdles. And in the meantime, my nose is itchy. I have a kind of some allergies today or something. Anyhow, so please excuse me if I'm like scratching my nose, but we will get right into the letter W and word of mouth. Word of mouth marketing is a strategy. It's not just something that we hope happens. When we refer to a strategy, and I did cover strategy in the letter S video, is that you have created an intentional movement within a particular topic. So, word of mouth is not just something that happens as a side effect, or we hope that happens as a side effect of doing other things in our business. Word of mouth marketing is an actual strategy where it has intention and action that gets people talking. And there's a difference there because in one, we're hoping and praying that something comes out of it. But in when you use it as a strategy, that means you are thinking about what you can do within that strategy, meaning you plan some actions in order to make word of mouth happen. Now, when we can make something happen, it's a lot more powerful than hoping it will because then you just don't know. You want to control the aspects of your business and you want to control your marketing. And that means that you have to sort of take an active participant role in doing things that you feel you don't have control over. So you think to yourself, you don't have control over what other people say. You have more control than you think because the way that you craft your business, your messages, your brand, it influences how people will respond and therefore how people will react to your business. So let's get into it. Um, Word of mouth is a marketing strategy and it leverages other people to talk about you and your services. And the thing is that they don't have to be a client to do it. When we have clients that talk about us, we get testimonials and we get referrals. So they speak to somebody else and get them into our business. When you're talking about word of mouth, you become talk worthy and not necessarily just by clients, but by other people. And that is the biggest distinction here in this strategy versus another strategy like client praise, which will get you direct referrals. And there's a few different things that you probably want to consider when thinking about executing on this strategy. So, number one, treat everyone as if they are a word of mouth champion. And even people who may have declined your service, who may have reached out and you went back and forth a few times and then they didn't book you. You never know. You just don't. So don't get frustrated and don't ghost them. Always respond. Always take the higher ground. Just always lead with the thought that that person may come back into your ecosystem at some point in time. Now, I had a situation. I wanted to see if I was right putting this in the right place. Yes, so I had a situation where I recently photographed a newborn session, and the client that hired me had declined me for her wedding about 4 years ago. She came to me through a referral. She was the friend of a bridesmaid at a wedding that I photographed. And she had reached out to me a couple of years ago. And we did, we went to the consult sort of stage up until the consult. And then I didn't hear back from her. And then when I did finally hear back, she said, like, I followed up and she got back to me and she said they went with somebody else. So I don't know why. It may have been, I think she may have said it was budget, that I was out of their budget. Um, and that was fine. I treated her just as beautifully as I would have treated a client who hired me. I said, thank you for considering me. I hope your wedding is amazing. I wish you nothing but the best. And I really did. Like, I wasn't faking it because I didn't go, get off my computer and be like, oh, I hate the fact that she didn't book me. Yes, it would have been nice if I would have gotten that wedding, but you know what? There's a fit for everybody. And at that time, it was not a fit for her. And it did not change the fact that I wanted her to have an incredible wedding day. And I really hoped in my heart of hearts that the person that they chose would give them really beautiful photos, even if they didn't have the budget to hire me. And she came back to me because a newborn session overall is less expensive than a wedding. And I'm not the cheapest photographer on the block, probably one of the higher priced in my area. And she came to me anyways because she missed out on the work, and maybe the wedding proved to her that it was important to have a photographer that knows what they're doing, and she hired me. And so when I talk about word of mouth, I talk about everybody. Think about everybody as a champion because you don't know who will come back. Even they might refer you, even if they didn't take you and hire you at the time, because maybe they have a friend who is a better fit for you or who has more money than they do, and you just never know. So don't get all, ragey and upset at the people who don't go with you, and treat them as if they are somebody who's going to carry word of mouth for you anyways. And I gleaned this expression from somebody. I was reading about a graphic designer who has a really great business in New York, and it was sort of paraphrased to be the person that a client aspires to rather than who they settle for. And I keep that in mind ever since I heard it some years back. I always keep that in mind, which helps me be ultimately kind to everybody, even if they don't take me to be their photographer, is that they just like this client, she aspired to have me as her photographer for her wedding, but she had to settle because she had a budget limitation in there. So I would prefer to be the one that they aspire to because at some point, if their circumstances change, they can become my client. They will change to that, taking that aspirational person because they no longer have to settle. So if you think about it this way, everybody who sort of is touched by you in your circle and the networks of your family, friends, colleagues, past clients, everything like that, everybody that you touch is a potential word of mouth champion for you. So treat everybody as if they are, and they may just be. Number two, carry yourself by your brand. Um, in this one, I have seen many business owners in my local community get involved into these, debate matches on Facebook when somebody posts something controversial. And there was, who was it? The tire guy, the guy who came and changed my tires one time. He had a service where he comes to your house to change your tires to your winter tires. And I had a little bit of complication with him to begin with, but he came highly recommended in the area. So I went with him. He had to like reschedule once or twice or something like that, which was a little frustrating, but I needed my tires changed. And so and like I said, he had come by referral. And then I remember I wasn't super happy with the whole rescheduling thing. And then at some point later, I saw him acting like a total ass on Facebook. He was flaming other people in this thread and he was just being mean. And I was like, you know what? I know it's just tires, right? Should I care about his attitude? But I felt like he was toxic and he didn't hold back. He didn't have filters and he owns a business and he has a reputation to uphold. And I found that it was out of character for somebody to be like that when they're trying to be a business leader in our community. And so that completely turned me off of him. And I also see a lot of photographers flaming clients in private groups. And that can come back at you because sometimes, like even private groups are not private. People can screenshot. Hopefully, you don't use any names. But the whole venting thing, I get it. But I have a rule that I will not vent about any of my clients. And typically, I don't need to because I attract a pretty solid client to my business at this point after a decade of learning. But if there is anything about a client, I deal with it myself or I'll tell somebody in person, like a close family member. But I don't flame anybody online. And I need to carry myself by my brand always because something in your personal realm can absolutely jump and affect your business and your community reputation. And you need to be very careful about that because you may still generate word of mouth, but it may not be good. And that can be a real killer for your business. People have gotten canceled over their extreme comments and things like that. And we've all seen it happen, I think, in this industry. And just in general, you have to be very careful. So, you have to think a little bit ahead and you have to believe that your energy, if you have like an energy of anger or something like that and it comes out online, it kind of stays there. The energy stays with the post and the energetic exchange is felt if you're being, completely obstinate and angry on certain posts and things like that. People will think that that energy will carry into your work, and some may be completely off put by it. So make sure that you carry yourself by your brand and your brand values at all times, especially when you're in the public arena, like behind closed doors, whatever. But make sure that you are really paying attention to this. And that will help you. And if you're, helpful and all the rest of it, then the word of mouth will be positive. You always want to keep it on the positive side. So on that point, number 3 is get involved and get involved as a helpful community member. I see a lot of photographers in my local groups, and most of them are completely brand new. And all they do on the days where they're allowed to post business advertising, that's all they do. I never see any posts from them except when they're advertising or promoting a particular event. And they just come out of the woodwork when they're allowed to, and not a peep otherwise. So it can be off-putting as well when all you're doing is being a user in groups and not a contributor. When we give, we get back. It's like one of the laws of the universe, right? What goes around comes around. So if what goes around is advertising only and trying to take from people, like hire me, give me money, you're not going to get far. You're like, it's a blocking energy. But if you give helpful information, if you give of yourself as a human and interact with other people, then you will get that energy back. And so in our groups, I'm part of a lot of different groups, and I try to be helpful as a human. So I don't just post and I don't just go online into these groups to post when I've got something to sell. I talk to other people. I build my community around me. I'm an active member of my community. And the same thing goes for outside of the online world. Get out into your neighborhood. You can volunteer. You can become a board member at a nonprofit organization, for example. You can become a sponsor of an event. And all of those are also strategies to get yourself known in the neighborhood. But not just known as a photographer, but just out as a human being again, because people work with people they like and trust. So if you just come out with your photographer hat on all the time, then people won't trust you because they think that you just want their business. But if you come out as a person, they start to like and trust you, and that generates word of mouth. For example, I still kind of do, I do project basis now, but I've worked in the nonprofit industry here in my local community for about 17 years. So after my marketing career, I moved from Toronto back to Montreal, Canada, my hometown, and I started to work in nonprofit. So all of my business background helped me to move into a different sector. And so for 17 years, I worked part time as an executive director where I had to be at many, many community and networking events. I accepted checks, I made speeches, I hosted our annual meeting, I spoke with volunteers. I'm I'm out there. People know my name. And they know my name not only as the executive director of that charity, but they also knew me as a photographer because my photography career I built alongside of my nonprofit career. And the part time nature of the work helped me to do that. And I started to photograph some nonprofit events because people knew that I was studying photography at the time. And that led to some other work. And now I have still a charitable mandate to work with nonprofits. I have a special rate for them if I can do their event. And I take on a few events per year. I also just recently sponsored an event with a local therapy center. They're a therapy and wellness center, so they focus on well being. And it was a great event at a beautiful space. And it gets me in front of people. So, for example, if you volunteer for an organization, you have potential clients in the all the other volunteers who give their time, right? So the clientele of the charitable organization may not be your clients because they may be more vulnerable people, low income people, and they're not thinking about photography. But all those who are in that sphere of helping those people could potentially become your advocates or your clients. So I have now a lot of people from my nonprofit world who recommend me as a photographer because they are also community members. So I have forged personal relationships with them and they refer me even though they have never used my service because they know of the quality of work I provide and they know me as a person and they consider me a person that they like and they trust. So get involved and also collaborate with other photographers. So I got my headshots done by a colleague, and she doesn't do weddings, and I don't do dance photographs, even though I'm in the dance sphere. She was also, her niece danced, so she does dance portraits and I don't. So anytime anybody's looking for beautiful dance portraits, which are actually quite frequent in my area, I refer her. And she refers me to weddings. And I actually just shot a wedding about a month ago, and that was her referral. And so it really works where you have, you know, sort of a symbiotic relationship with somebody who doesn't offer quite the same as what you do. And she just today put me on another wedding post. So she's a great advocate for me because she's got a network of people that she's leveraging and is hearing from as well. And she's moving those people into my sphere. Okay, and the fourth is to be remarkable. If you are delivering to satisfaction, there is nothing remarkable. So if you say you get this shoot and this many photographs and you deliver exactly that, nothing more, nothing less, everything's fine, it's not remarkable. People don't talk about things that they already expected to happen and it ends up being just like, okay, my everything's fine. We all know that fine is like the kiss of death, right? And the word. So if your spouse tells you you look fine, you're like, oh my God. So if you feel that you have delivered to a fine level, then that's not remarkable. And what you want to do is deliver to a remarkable level. So the word remarkable, if we just, I never really studied the root words, but to be remarkable we think is to be amazing. But the word remark is a word, a phrase, something. You've said something about somebody, to remark about something. So to be remarkable is to repeat the remarks, right? And so you are remarkable when somebody is feeling compelled to repeat what has happened to them to somebody else, which essentially is word of mouth marketing. And how do you become remarkable? Well, I encourage you to scroll through your feed and scroll through the Facebook groups and see what people are remarking on. And oftentimes it's negative, so I'll say stay away from that. Remember, we're carrying our brand and we're treating everybody like they could be an advocate, so we're treating people kindly and at the top level of our service always, and we carry by our brand so we don't get involved in negative and toxic exchanges online. But look at what people are remarking on. So here in this Facebook group, I posted a few weeks ago a testimonial from a couple who went to an Italian restaurant for their anniversary, their first anniversary, and they received like champagne and a dessert at the end. They went right online and remarked about that to an entire group of 17,000 in one particular local group. That it was remarkable for them and they said something. So the word of mouth was amazing from just that one experience of giving them a little extra for their anniversary. So think about ways that you can be remarkable with your clients. It could be a small client gift when you arrive at a shoot. It could be exclusivity of something like locations that you have scouted that are just for your clients, or amazing new selections for your client closet. Letting them go home with a piece from the client closet that they wore that they didn't know. Something small, maybe not an entire gown, but something small like a headband or something for their newborn, and just say, it's yours now. Can you imagine that they would be like, oh my God, like that's so amazing. Thank you. And they might just talk about that with somebody. Extra touch points in your business. So if in this world, we're ghosted a lot and we're so frustrated with communications, be the one on top of communications more so than you feel is normal. It's remarkable, right? If you get back to your clients, it's not always possible. Okay, I get it. Don't rage on me. But if you get back to your client immediately once they've emailed, if possible, just a quick response, even saying, "I can't talk right now, but I will check in with you later." That could be remarkable because people don't expect responses fast, and sometimes that's frustrating for them. So be on top of it. If a client, an anxious bride reaches out, don't make her wait 24 hours to stew in that anxiety. Break it right away. Just say, I'm on top of it. I'm here for you. I will check in with you later because I'm at a session or I can't chat right now, but I've got you, right? She will feel cared for and she will feel that's remarkable, especially if other vendors are not making her feel as cared for, right? So you will be the remarkable one where the caterer didn't get back to her for 48 hours while she waited impatiently for a response, right? So being remarkable, that will cause word of mouth marketing, surprising and delighting people. So if you've got something to give to people, don't tell them. Make it a surprise. So when you actually give it to them, that remarkable feeling is so much bigger than if they expected it. Okay, so that is word of mouth marketing. Next, we're going to get into X Factor. And we talked about unique selling proposition yesterday. That's often where an X factor is communicated. So if you want to know more about that, go back to the video with the letter U, unique selling proposition. And in terms of X factor, the good place, like I said, we find it in the USP, and a good place for it to live is in our brand. And a brand or your brand is a precursor to your whole marketing strategy because you need a good solid message to have your marketing deliver out to the world. So what is an X factor? I mean, we all know the show, right? And we all know what they look for. It's that special sauce, the special something that stands out, right, over the mediocre masses. And what I would call it would be maybe an intangible magnetism. Some people have a charisma, a magnetism, a way about them. They don't even have to be the most talented, but there's something, there's a draw, there's an intangible magnetism about them. And that's what you want to kind of try to cultivate when you are being, sort of in the running to be selected as a photographer for somebody. You want that X factor to kind of present itself so that people feel drawn to you and your services. And so, where does the X factor come from? In my opinion, it comes from three things. It comes from confidence, it comes from authority, and it comes from mastery. So, I will go through these in a little bit of detail. Confidence, such a huge obstacle for us photographers. Our imposter often leads our business. And if you lead, if you let your imposter lead, it can be the silent saboteur of your entire business. Because think about what the imposter is. The imposter is telling you that you're not good enough. If there's somebody sitting next to you telling you you're not good enough every minute of the day, what do you think is going to happen? It demotivates you, it deflates you, it defeats you, it makes you feel like everything is hard. Who wants that? And so you can't move forward. I mean, for every one step forward, you're being knocked back 10 steps, right? The imposter is an absolute monster to try and deal with. And imposter is the opposite of confidence. So it's doubt. So when you have doubt in yourself, then it prevents you from moving ahead with all of your gifts. And it's a normal part. The thing is, it's a normal part of the creative process. And it means that whatever you're doing is important to you, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't fear it, right? So if you're not scared of something, that means you probably don't want it very much. So if you're scared all the time, then it means that it's important. So that's a good signal. But the thing is that you cannot let your imposter lead your business. You need to let your confidence lead your business. And we never got into business to just hover an inch over the lowest point of doing business, like anything just above zero. It's not really the dream, is it? The dream is to be wildly successful, to be thriving, to be happy every morning that you wake up and say, this is my life. And just hovering over the bottom is like the one of the worst places that we can be for our own feelings. And so we have to remember that we got into the business for a reason, and there's a dream attached. And you have to hold that dream really, really tightly every single day and see it and feel it and experience it in order to be able to lead with confidence. And one of the ways that you can do that is to go to the blog, the ShineSparkleMarketing.com blog, where I have a whole section on mindset, and I have some helpful tips for retraining your mind. I think we should do it daily. I do. I've been doing it daily as part of my new Shine Sparkle morning routine. I have a blog post on that, so you can go and find that. And I do mindset training every day. It's a combination of visualization, which many, many top athletes use when they need to be at the top of their game. I use meditation, guided meditation, affirmations, and I also read content from successful people. So I read a lot of biographies and a lot of, like I seek out inspirational and positive stories, and I really avoid every toxic news outlet as possible. I still get the news, but I get it sort of filtered and I go out and seek it. So I cut out the toxic stuff and I focus on my mindset, because I know that my inner world is up to me, not up to anybody else. It's not up to the news to feed me fear. It's not up to my competition to feed me doubt. I choose what's in there, and I have to choose every single day that I will work in confidence, lead in confidence, live in confidence, and not in my imposter. My imposter will help me, drive me. The imposter is my fuel to drive me to be better. So I appreciate my imposter for that small role that it has, but I will not let my imposter lead my business. That's not what the imposter should ever be doing. It's like giving the car keys to a child, right? Not to be done. So lead with confidence, and that X factor will start to shine. I mean, if we look at somebody who lights up a room, honestly, it's the body language of confidence, right? That's really what's, you don't even know the person, right? But they may exude that X factor, that charisma, well from across the room before you've ever spoken to them. And it's their body language, and their body language is coming from their confidence. So go and read that blog post on the morning routine with the mindset training. I'll link it actually into this video description after in the comments. Authority. Know your stuff, and know your stuff around your stuff. What do I mean by that? I'm going to use an example of a luxury hotel. If you go to a concierge in the lobby and you ask them about the best restaurants, they'll know the best restaurants. They'll might even get you in. If it's a long wait list, you know, they've got an in, and they'll make it happen. Or if you want to know where to shop or where to find a cab or where, where to find the best tourist attractions, whatever it is, the concierge is the go-to person, right? They're in the know. And when you're in the know, not just about, so a concierge is they work with the hotel, right? So that's their job. Their job description doesn't say you should know about other, great places to go if you want to hang out, go dancing or something like that. It is kind of softly part of their job, but their job is at the hotel. But they realize that their job has many more facets, right? So in a job like a hotel, people go out to eat, people go dancing, people need to buy gifts, people need to get places. And when the hotel people are in the know, you start building a like and a trust with the people of that hotel. You feel that they've taken care of you. You feel like you don't have to go elsewhere to go and try and find information. They're taking care of your needs along with the fact that you have a reservation and you're staying at their hotel. So in that same vein, if you're a photographer, don't just be the photographer. Know what other related areas to your photography are around you, and become an authority in that so that your clients wouldn't have to go elsewhere. And I'll give you an example, say boudoir. A lot of boudoir photographers will have either a makeup artist who is hired by them, or they will have makeup artists as recommendations. And they build a network of people. So they may have recommendations of what stores to shop at if somebody's going to buy their own lingerie for the boudoir shoot. Hair, makeup, flowers, any number of things, shoes. So be in the know. So if you hired like I said, okay, sorry, there's a couple of thoughts coming at me now. I have seen quite a few times posts online in local community groups where somebody has said, we are having our photo session with our fall photo session with our photographer. What are great places to use for a good fall foliage? And a few people, including me, right back, they're like, your photographer should be able to answer that for you. So knowing that word of mouth carries, I'm still kind. I'm not going to be like, well, your effing photographer should know that. Like, what the heck? You should have gone with me because I would have done that for you. Not at all. I carry myself with my brand. So I will say, your photographer, approach your photographer. They should know of a few places if you haven't had that conversation yet. But if they don't have an idea, I'll give up like a location that's not exclusive to me. So I'll recommend a pretty park or something like that. I'll say, as a photographer, this is a place that I've photographed at a few times in the fall foliage. Is great. So I have been helpful, and that might help my word of mouth, but it also helps my X factor because when people come to me, I will recommend locations. I won't make my clients go elsewhere to find locations. So the photographer whose clients are posting that post online looking for a good location, they have taken it upon themselves to go and find that location instead of the photographer doing it for them. And that breaks authority. And the likelihood maybe they booked them without realizing that this person wasn't going to have like resources for them, and they might not book them again, or they might cancel with them saying, oh yeah, like my photographer should know these things. So become an authority in your realm. So not just your profession, but in the realm that surrounds your profession. And building that authority will give you that X factor, because people will start to get to know you as the person who knows how to get things done for the most beautiful sessions. You know locations, you know people who will, bring food, to the event that, whatever it is. I'm currently working on a project right now in the community. I had a couple who did a baby shower at a beautiful location, a cafe here. And I reached out to my local community asking about other beautiful locations where couples can get their maternity photos done during their baby shower. And then the cafe reached out to me too, and they want to do a collaboration, which is, again, like that whole word of mouth thing. But that project is going to make me an authority in small, intimate places where people can hold their baby showers. And that's part of my job because I want beautiful locations to photograph couples in. And for the benefit is that a soon to be mom is going to be getting ready, probably with hair and makeup for her baby shower. And it's the perfect time to get in and offer photographs at that same time where she's already getting her hair and makeup done and is going to look great. So building my authority in that arena will make me the go-to person. Like, oh, Lucy is the go-to person for this kind of planning. Go see her stuff. You're going to find lots of great locations to hold your baby shower, and you hire her to come in, and it's going to be great. So, authority. And finally, mastery. Learn flash, learn lighting, learn editing. Keep going deeper into your craft and study outside. Again, like that same outside of your realm. Watch cinema, like cinematic lighting in movies. Um, Study art for composition, for light, use of light. Get really deep on your profession. Don't just, settle. Again, that be remarkable to yourself. So don't just settle for a middle ground where, okay, I know my settings, I like a few locations, and I have good results there, and that's what I'm gonna do. Push your limits, push your creative limits, and master things. If you're not comfortable with Flash, don't just call yourself a natural light photographer. Learn Flash. And that could open up so many doors for you where natural light isn't always cooperative to us. And instead of entertaining that limitation, especially if you're a natural light photographer and love it, okay, fine. But if you feel that limitation, go deeper, go into mastery. People who have mastery over their work will have an X factor because the education creates the feeling that people are attracted to, right? So when you go and see a gallery exhibition or you see some beautiful artwork, you're just amazed. I know I am. I'm amazed at some of the intricacy that I see in artwork, and I can't even believe. I don't even know. Like I'm a good photographer, but I'm not a good artist, and I'm amazed. And being able to have mastery over certain things is really impressive to many of us. And when we're impressed, that means that there's an X factor there. So always push your limits, get more education, find locations, find new lighting scenarios, study art, study cinema, buy photography books, take courses, whatever it is. Invest in that skill building, and it will reward you because you will feel so comfortable in that mastery that it then shows, impresses other people, and creates you as that it factor. And the one final thing I'll say about that is I got my start in stock photography, more specifically in micro stock photography, when I was in one of my marketing roles as project manager. Sometimes they would ask me to find stock photos for the website, and and so I started to look through these photographs, and that's how the photography bug hit me, is that I was like, I can do some of these shots. And it was hard at the beginning. I really had a lot more confidence than than my skill at that time, but I worked into it. And I started to be a contributor to stock photography. I was using like an Olympus point and shoot for it. And I still was able to build a portfolio because it's less about the camera gear and more about the artist vision, which was budding inside of me. And I sat on microstock forums for hours and hours and hours until I figured out why my photographs were being declined, and to be able to improve them to the point where I could have a portfolio online. And I remember this one veteran microstock shooter, or stock shooter, essentially. He contributed to regular stock sites too. And he had this expression. He called it plop and shoot. And what he meant by that is, in product or lifestyle, stock photography, which has to be commercially viable, um, people would often just take a product, like, here's my pen. They would put the pen down on a table and photograph it and call it a day, call it stock photography. And if you've ever taken a good look at stock photography, nowadays there's so much of it around. It's pretty good, and it has to be more than just like a pen on a table, right? Like that's not going to sell anything. There's like flat lays and all sorts of things. And so I started to think about this in terms of plopping and shooting for regular photographers. I see very often that people will plop a family into a field and shoot. And that's not remarkable. Just doing the same thing over again and not pushing your boundaries to get better, to study backgrounds and compositions and study art and being creative. If you're just plopping and shooting, then your art will plateau. And oftentimes our photographers don't even consider themselves artists. So if I look at an artist like a painter, I feel like I'm not quite that. I can't call myself that same kind of artist. But we are artists in our own right, and what we do requires skill and creativity and critical thinking skills and keen observation skills. So don't let it max out, and don't let it just peter away and stay at that mediocre level. And always push the boundaries. That is a critical component of the it factor, is that you push yourself to be the best. Okay, so we have one more video tomorrow, the letters Y and Z. And don't forget to download your guide of the 5 missteps that photographers make that attract price shoppers and drain their passion, profits, and joy. Link in description. And I hope this was helpful, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.